your brain, you're in the nerds domain. Come on in, it's about to begin.
Hi, I'm Matt, and welcome to the Nerds Domain podcast. This week we've got a special interview with two guys that are putting together a game called Space 1889. It's currently on a Kickstarter, and I wanted to get them in here and ask them some questions and get them a little bit out there so that you guys can look into it and maybe get interested as well. So I've got Angus Abramson with me and Patrick Guts, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So hi, guys.
Hello. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, I'm happy to have you on. So we'll go ahead and get into a couple of questions that we try and ask before every one of our interviews. So we'll start with the first one. I guess it's a good place to start. In the impending zombie apocalypse, what is your weapon of choice?
Now, one of my ex-girlfriends absolutely laughed at me for saying this, but it's not actually a weapon. But one of the things I think is essential in a zombie apocalypse is just really good shoes. You know, kind of like all-weather, all-terrain, just comfortable shoes, because you're going to be doing a lot of running, and if you haven't got comfortable shoes, you're going to be in a real disadvantage. So it's not a weapon, but certainly shoes, I think, will help a good pair of comfortable shoes would certainly keep you alive a lot longer. Because she always joked that she'd be off kind of like finding some sort of some sort of club or something while I was in the shoe shop kind of like trying on different pairs.
All right. What about you, Patrick?
Okay. I think I go with a more traditional answer. I think I will take katana, because you don't need ammunition for these.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, and then given all the sci-fi that you guys know, what planet would you like to visit most?
Now, this is fictional as well as factual, is it?
Sure, absolutely.
Blimey, that's a lot to choose from. Patrick?
Yeah. I think I will go with Magratea, the planet from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the Earth was built.
Okay, yeah.
To have a look how they do that, and later maybe visit the restaurant at the end of the universe, which is also located on that planet, but later on.
Okay.
That's a very good one. See, I was going to originally answer kind of like Mars, but considering we're talking about Space 1889, which is set on Mars and everything else, but no, Mars. I think I personally would love to be able to explore space and actually see the wonders of the universe, because even the wonders on this planet are absolutely fantastic. But I resigned myself to never being able to do that in real life, so just leaving it to the imagination. But I think as far as the sci-fi universe I'd like to explore, it would probably be the universe of Firefly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right on. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into your guys' Kickstarter, and we'll talk about it a little bit. We'll start off with your sales pitch. What is 1889, and why do you have such a passion for this project?
Patrick.
Okay. What is Space 1889? Well, it's a science fiction role-playing game set in the Victorian era. And, in that game, the inner solar system is explored, or gets explored at the moment, by the major colonial powers of Earth, because of an invention from Thomas Edison, who invented the ether propeller a couple of years ago, which made it possible to visit Mars and Venus and Mercury. Originally it was published in 1989 or 1990, and I'm a long-time fan since then. And as I got the chance to get it published in Germany in the new edition, I jumped on it, and I wanted to do it.
Yeah, Space 1889 is very much just kind of like Victorian science romance sort of role-playing game based upon certainly people like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. And like Patrick, I also played it back in the late 80s when it was first released, and I still actually found my first character sheet that I played with about a month or so ago when I was looking through some old files, because like a typical gamer, I probably have most of the character sheets since year dot one way or another. We had great fun playing it back in late 80s and early 90s. So I was very pleased when Patrick approached me about joining the project for this new one.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. What sort of gaming experience do you guys have?
For my part, I started gaming actually when I was going to school over in America back in the early to mid-80s. And then when I moved back to the UK, I was lucky enough to actually have a game store open up just down the road from where I was living at the time, which was brilliant. So I started helping out there at weekends and bits and pieces and basically I decided that, yes, this is what I want to do with my life. After doing some freelance work on various magazines, doing lots of playtesting for companies like Steve Jackson Games at one point as well, and White Wolf back in the early 90s. It was always a dream of mine to actually start a games company. I did a little bit of that with some friends from university when we released a game called Dark Winter back in, I think it was like 1992-93, which was a role-play tabletop skirmish game, which was just a small press student sort of production over here in the UK. But I think we still sold about 2,000 or 3,000 copies at the time, which was brilliant. And then in the early 2000s, I started up a company called Cubicle 7 Entertainment, which I eventually went full-time with alongside my then partner in business, Dominic McDowell Thomas. And we produced various games such as The One Ring, Doctor Who, Adventures in Time and Space, and also worked with a number of other games publishers in the industry, helping get their games into distribution, as well as working on some of our own titles. And that was actually during the time where I met Patrick. And then December 2011, I left Cubicle 7 and started up my new company, Chronicle City, which is the company that we've teamed up with Patrick's Clockwork Publishing to produce Space 1889.
Okay, and Patrick, what about you?
Well, actually it's a quite similar story. I also started gaming in the early 80s. I think, I started with the German edition of the Redbox D&D. I think 83 or so, 84, and then switched to the main German role-playing system, the Dark Eye, for a couple of years, but also played a lot of other stuff. I somehow by accident then got a job selling role-playing games with one of the major wholesalers in Germany. And then I got the Deadlands license for the German Deadlands from my boss there. And from then on I started publishing role-playing games, and here we are now.
Okay. So the Space 1889 looks like it's using the Ubiquity rule system. Tell me a little bit about that.
The main reason why we're using the Ubiquity rule system is because I'm a huge fan of it, and I'm also doing the German version of the Hollow Earth Expedition role-playing game, the original role-playing game who uses this system. I always thought that would be a very fitting system to be used with the Space 1889 setting. And since I already did it in German, I asked Extra Game Studios about the possibility of getting the rule system for another setting. Well, and he said yes, and Frank Chadwick didn't mind. So we use the Ubiquity rules now. It's a very streamlined, very easy to learn system. Were unlikely the original rules for Space 1889.
Okay. All right. Well, looking over the Kickstarter, it looks like I can get a full set of rules in a PDF for £15, so around $20. Seems awfully cheap. Why so low?
I think digital core rulebooks can be a variety. They differ in price, certainly. One of the things that we do is, apart from the actual PDF, we're part of a scheme called the Bits and Mortar scheme that was set up a few years ago by Fred Hicks of Evil Hat, Shane Ivey, Art Dream, Simon Rogers of Pelgrane, and myself and a few other companies, which basically is a retailer support initiative where if a retail store is part of the Bits and Mortar scheme, and any physical brick-and-mortar store can actually sign up to it. It doesn't cost a penny. If a customer goes into their store and buys a book that's one of the members of the scheme, they also get a complimentary PDF with the actual book. So certainly with the hardcover versions of the books on the Kickstarter, you get the PDF free of charge if you pledge for one of the hard editions. We also have a couple of pledge levels, which are called the Digital Rulebook Plus and the Rulebook Plus, which basically means that if you pledge either of those, you get every single PDF that is unlocked during the course of the campaign and stretch goals and everything else as part of that price. With the digital rulebook at £15, all your that's just for the core Space 1889 Ubiquity System rulebook. Generally speaking, I've seen a lot of people do PDFs between about a third to half price. This one is actually below half price, but really it's a company by company thing, really, as far as pricing is concerned, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It looks like you have two adventures that are unlocked so far through the stretch goals: the Order of the Invisible Eye and Thunders of Venus. What can you tell me about those two?
At the moment, not a vast amount, because basically the Order of Invisible Eye is being written by John Wick, who was the designer of games such as Legend of Five Rings, Seventh Sea, and Houses of Blooded. And one of the things we did in preparation for Kickstarter was we spoke to a lot of English language authors primarily about being able to contribute adventures or various little bits to the campaign. So hopefully as the campaign goes on, we'll actually start unlocking some more adventures by a variety of different authors that most of them are I won't necessarily say household names amongst the games industry, but certainly anyone who knows the games industry will certainly recognise the majority of the authors that we have. John's adventure was the first one we unlocked, luckily at 18,000. I have some blurb I can read you from the Kickstarter page, but initially all we asked for was the synopsis of the adventure, because obviously until the adventures were actually unlocked through a campaign, we couldn't necessarily commit to actually doing it. So the actual campaign, as it goes along, is allowing us to be able to commission the works from the individual authors to then write up properly. The other adventure we've got is Thunders of Venus by Steve Long, who was one of the key teams of the Hero System. Also worked with Last Unicorn on Star Trek, and did some work with Pinnacle and Deadlands. So, like I say, I've got blurb for both of them, which I can tell you, but it's not a fully fledged out adventure at present. Now they're now working on them. Okay.
Sounds like either one of them though are both backed by great authors.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like, and the quick blurbs on the Kickstarter sound like they're going to be a lot of fun.
Yes,
so.
Definitely. Because basically what we got them to do was to pitch us an idea. And then the German design team that works with Patrick in his office basically just went over them and then kind of like gave a thumbs up. But we're looking to try and get a range of different styles of adventure, because, for instance, John Wick's is set on Mars, Steve's is set on Venus. We'll have other adventures, hopefully have other adventures that might actually be earthbound, or kind of like on various ships that might be more secret society based, or various there's a whole plethora of ideas that have come through, so fingers crossed.
Okay. Well, it looks like you funded pretty quickly. You're 13 days in? Is that right?
Yes, I think we're about 13.
So
Are we? How long are we? Sorry about this.
No, you're fine.
2 weeks are going.
Yes,
going.
Two weeks tomorrow, isn't it?
So how soon after you put the Kickstarter up did you complete? Were you funded?
That were 4 days, I think. We took
4 days. Wow. Okay. Is the stress gone yet, or are you still building more stress and stress with all these stretch goals?
I think the initial stress has, certainly for me, it's gone. I can't speak for Patrick. Patrick might be a ball of stress over in Cologne. But certainly on my part, when we pressed launch, I cannot remember having so many butterflies in my stomach for many years. I was quite surprised at the way I felt, because I'd helped out on a few Kickstarter campaigns for other people before, like the Acton Cthulhu that Modiphius did, and Interface Zero 2.0 that Gunmetal did. I assisted them a little bit on both their campaigns and have given Kickstarter advice to a number of people. But this was the first one that I was doing myself as such with Patrick, under my name on Kickstarter, and there were certainly some butterflies. How about you, Patrick? How are you feeling now?
Same way. The stress is a little bit gone, but still a lot of work to do. We are constantly changing a little bit the next stretch goals, tweaking here and there. But I'm a lot calmer now than I was at the start of the Kickstarter. After we reached our pledge goal after 4 days, I was getting calmer very quickly.
Yeah, we did a Kickstarter back in May to get some recording equipment, and that moment from when I hit submit until I got that first email saying you're good to go, that process was nerve-wracking. I don't know if you guys went through that. You guys have a much more professional looking Kickstarter than we did, but
yeah, I think we got approved.
It took half a day.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was very quickly. I basically submitted it, I think, when I went to bed, and when I woke up, I had an email saying, "Yep, go for it." So
wow,
it was very quick.
Okay, well, can you give us any hints to what we might see in the future? Any supplements or anything like that?
Yeah. We already revealed on the Kickstarter page that there will be a Venus source book if we reach that stretch goal. And I think there was already leaked a little picture of a miniature design for Space 1889. So, well, maybe we are doing some miniatures for it.
Okay.
It seems to suggest we might be.
And we will... if the Kickstarter goes on like that, we will certainly see some more adventures and some more other stuff and accessories and maybe another source book. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we've certainly got a number of adventures that hopefully will start coming through. And to be honest, I think we'll be announcing the next set of adventures imminently, to be honest, because we've just passed another stretch goal this evening, so I'll be adding another one onto the bottom of the list for people to see, which will be very good. And that will be another adventure, this time by Shane Ivey from Arc Dream, who do the Wild Talents role-playing game, Godlight, and also they've just did a Kickstarter recently for Better Angels, and of course they do Delta Green as well. So Shane Ivey is going to be our adventure number 3 after the Venus book has been completed. We've also got the GM screen, an NPC booklet there. Everything else is currently still hidden as such, but there's certainly more to come. Adventures, source books, and also possibly the miniatures, as Patrick said.
Okay. All right. Well, what about from your company in general? What can we expect to see from them with the success of this project? Do you guys have plans to expand into another game from here, or what's going on?
Well, Patrick's company. How many books have you produced, Patrick?
50 to 60.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but German, of course. So nobody knows us outside of Germany. We're at the moment we produce about 2 or 3 printed books each month. But this is our first English project. We have plans for the future for the English market, but I think we will stick to Space 1889 for some time and look how it's going, and then maybe we'll do something else also later on.
Okay.
Yeah, because one of the things Patrick Company does is he has a number of licenses of English language games that are reasonably well known, obviously in America and Britain, and does the German translations of those, as well as creates their own game designs. And you also have a license for one of the Dark Eye settings, don't you? Which Dark Eye is the very big German role.
Yeah, well, Dark Eye is like the German Dungeons and Dragons, and beside the main, most successful settings, there are some minor settings, and we do have the license for 2 of these which we produce some books for every year, and selling.
So it's a little bit like if Dungeons and Dragons had Forgotten Realms as the main setting, but then had other settings such as Mysteria or Greyhawk or
exactly.
Planescape, you would have some of it, So, and as far as Chronicle City, we work with a host of different publishing companies, helping them get their products into print, as well as we do have a couple of our own in-house projects that we're working on as well. So I think you should be certainly seeing more from both Chronicle City and also Clockwork Publishing over the coming months.
Well, excellent. So where can we see you guys at? Will either of you guys or any of your company be making it to any conventions this year?
Chronicle City's got a booth at Gen Con this year. We're at booth 1751, which is in the far right corner of the convention hall. But we actually have a 30-foot booth there, so we've got quite a large presence. We're just kind of like tucked up in the corner. We'll be there selling a whole range of the games that we're printing. I'm also this year. They invited me to be one of their industry insider guests. So I'm doing a number of panels at Gen Con as well over the course of the 4 days, speaking about various topics from Kickstarter, surprisingly enough, to how to get game companies started, independent publishing and self-publishing. Patrick seems to be on a never-ending stream of conventions in Germany. Since we started, I think you've been to 2 in the last 2 weeks, haven't you?
Yes, that's right, yeah. And I will be on another one from Wednesday on this weekend again. we decided to visit all the major conventions in Germany and a lot of new smaller ones also. So in July and August I'm away almost every weekend on a convention.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I must say Germany seems to have tons of games conventions. Because the big one is Spiel, which is coming up in mid-October, which Patrick has always had to stand there, and I'll be over at that one as well. So is Chris Birch from Motiviers, which we work with. So we'll have a tiny Chronicle City presence on Patrick's stand for the show. Mm-hmm. But Spiel is fantastic. It's primarily a board games convention, but they've got an absolutely massive role-playing hall for traders, and I think they get something like 150,000 people over the course of 4 days. It's massive. It is. I've been to Gen Con both in Milwaukee and Indianapolis and Origins and various other shows, but Spiel is.
We don't hold a torch to 150,000. No.
So it's I do recommend it to anyone. It's not a convention to go to play role-playing games because of the way it's set up, but there are a lot, and also obviously most of them are in German anyway. But certainly for board game enthusiasts, it's an absolutely stunning convention.
All right. Well, I'm gonna tell everybody what I think real quick. I love the art. The art just is amazing. The front cover of the book is gorgeous. The portraits you have of the different characters, those are great. I love the front of the Venus book. I really hope that gets funded because that looks amazing. And I am a sucker for maps. I'm a huge sucker for maps. So these posters, those are going to get added onto mine. I can tell you that already. I just clicked pledge, and you now have me backing you, and I'm happy to because all of it looks great, and it looks like this is kind of my kind of game, action, adventure, exploration. And that's what I love. So I'm really excited to see this come out, and I'm looking forward to everything. And Angus, if you're at Gen Con, I hope to see you there because I'm going to stop by and hopefully talk to Chris Birch.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're sharing the booth with Chris, so
yeah, because we backed Octung Cthulhu too because we had him on. I need to quit having interviews on because then you guys convinced me to go back your stuff. So, but it all looks great, and I'm really excited. Anything else you guys want to say before we head on out of here?
Is there anything you fancy saying, Patrick?
Besides, thank you for the invite and let me talk about space. No. I'm too tired to think about anything.
Yeah, it is a little late. I did say, but Patrick is calling from Germany, and Angus is calling from England, and it's getting a little late over there. So it was a pleasure to have you, both of you guys. So I'm really, really happy to get the word out anytime I can for a Kickstarter, especially one that I am happy to back myself. So,
thank you very much for inviting us on, and hopefully we can come back and chat to you again at some point in the future.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Well, that does us tonight for the Nerds Domain podcast. You can always send us an email at nerdsdomain@gmail.com. You can catch me on Twitter at Quiet or the website at nerdsdomain. We want to thank Josh Shop for our music. And you can always head over to the website and click the Amazon link. That'll help us out a little bit. Same price for you. A little bit comes our way. And that'll be it for tonight. Thanks.